Do I need to count down to 15 or we're good?
We're good. We're good.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, Miami, and welcome to this special City Commission meeting for April 30th, 2020. Pursuant to the Executive Order number 20-69 issued by the Office of Governor Ron DeSantis on March 20th, 2020, municipalities may conduct meetings of their governing boards without having a quorum of its members present physically or at any specific location, and utilizing communications media technology such as telephonic or video conferencing as provided by Section 120-54(5)(b)(2) of the Florida statutes. Procedures for the public comment will be explained by the City Attorney shortly. The members of the City Commission appearing remotely for this meeting are Alex Diaz de la Portilla, Joe Carroyo, Manolo Reyes, and me, your Vice Chairman, Ken Russell. And if the City Attorney would please read the procedures for this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. The person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registry. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the City Clerk's office or online at municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of the City Code section is available at the office of the City Clerk online at municode.com. The material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the chair and upon registering pursuant to the published notice for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission, unless modified by the chair. Since this is a virtual meeting as authorized by the Governor of the State of Florida, members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by visiting miamigov.com/virtual meeting to upload their video comments or to submit their written comments via the online comment form. Members of the public may also call 305-250-5353 to provide comments via the dedicated City of Miami public comment voicemail. Members of the public may also pre-register to provide live public comment by phone during the meeting. You may pre-register by phone by calling 305-250-5350 or online at miamigov.com/government/live-public-comment. All comments submitted will be included as part of the public record for this virtual meeting and will be considered by the City Commission prior to any action taken. The city will accommodate any speakers desiring to appear in person subject to all applicable emergency measures in place to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. Speakers who appear in person will be subject to screening for symptoms of COVID-19. Any persons exhibiting any symptoms of COVID-19 will not be permitted to enter City Hall. All interested parties are required to abide by all state, county, and local emergency orders and urged to remain at home and practice social distancing. If the proposition to be continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. When the City Commission takes action or votes on any proposition before it, it shall do so by roll call vote, which shall be recorded by the City Clerk and included in the record. Anyone wishing to appeal any decision made by the City Commission for any matter considered at this meeting may need a verbatim record of the item. A video of this meeting may be requested at the Office of Communications or viewed online at miamigov.com. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the City Clerk. Please note, commissioners are generally briefed by City staff and the City Attorney on the items on the agenda today. The City of Miami is using Zoom to host its April 20th, 2020 virtual special City Commission meeting. Zoom is a cloud platform for video and audio conferencing, collaboration, chat, and webinars across mobile devices, desktop telephones, and room systems. In order to ensure that the public has the ability to view the meeting, the City Communications Department will broadcast the meeting through all the usual channels and avenues that are provided when the City Commission is meeting fully in Commission chambers. The meeting will be viewed live on Miami TV through the city's Facebook page at facebook.com/City of Miami Gov, on the city's Periscope channel at twitter.com/City of Miami, on the city's YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/City of Miami Gov, and on Comcast channel 77. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Additionally, the city has not selected a virtual platform that requires the public to purchase or download any additional software equipment to watch this meeting. Aside from the Zoom platform that the participants will be appearing remotely, the public will have no discernible difference in the ability to watch the meeting. The city has developed several new methods of ensuring public comment for a virtual meeting. It has established 4 new options. The first new option allows the public to provide public comments via the dedicated City of Miami public comment voicemail by calling 305-250-5353, where the individual will be able to leave 2-minute voicemail messages that will play during the virtual commission meeting. The second option allows the public to submit a 2-minute video to be played during the virtual commission meeting. The third option allows the public to submit comments via the city's online comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been distributed to the elected officials and city administration throughout the day so that the elected officials can consider the comments prior to taking any action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute to elected officials up until the chairman closes public comment. The fourth new option allows the public to pre-register or provide live public comment by phone during the virtual commission meeting. For all the aforementioned options, all the comments received will be included in the public record of the meeting. For these four options, the city has created a simple set of instructions explaining how the public may submit comments with either option. Those instructions were provided in notice to the public and published online at miamigov.com/virtual meeting. Additionally, like any other city commission meeting, the public may provide public comment at City Hall. The city has set up the terminal in the event the members of the public travel to City Hall to provide public comment. Due to COVID-19, all speakers desiring to appear in person will be subject to all emergency measures in place to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. Speakers who appear in person will be subject to screening for symptoms of COVID-19. Any persons exhibiting any symptoms of COVID-19 will not be permitted to enter City Hall, but will be able to participate through the remote options described above. These 5 public comment options established and provided for the virtual special city commission meeting comply with section 286.014 and section 120.54 of Florida statutes. The city has published an agenda as well as included in the notice to the public pursuant to our city code and the items in the top will be discussed at the virtual special city commission meeting. Additionally, the public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting at the terminal at City Hall in an online public comment forum and with reasonable proximity in time before the meeting and during the meeting via the public comment voicemail, online public comment forum, the public comment video upload, and the live public comment by phone. Moreover, section 286.0114, subsection 4, subsection C of Florida statutes specifically authorizes the city to prescribe procedures or forms for an individual to use in order to inform the board or commission of a desire to be heard, to indicate his or her support, opposition, or neutrality on a proposition. The city, through its 5 public comment options, has provided 5 different procedures and forms to indicate, among other things, an individual's support, opposition, or neutrality on the items and topics to be discussed at the virtual city commission meeting. The city provided information on how to submit its comments in the notice to the public on dedicated webpage and via its social media channels. Commissioners, please confirm you're comfortable with the notice provisions as set forth in these uniform rules and procedures we've established for this meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone else good?
Yes.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Manager. If you could let us know if there are any items from this agenda that will be withdrawn, deferred, or continued.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, and Mr. City Clerk. At this time, the administration does not wish to defer or withdraw any items.
Thank you. Are there any pocket items to be added today? I know Commissioner Reyes, I believe you have one. Are there any
Yes,
others?
I do.
So the way I'd like to run the meeting is to introduce the pocket items very early so that if anyone would like to comment publicly on them, we can take that public comment. So we'll introduce those items first. And it sounds like it's just yours, Commissioner Reyes. Then we'll take public comment for the other items for everything on the existing agenda, and we can vote on those. Then we'll take public comment for the pocket items and finally vote on those pocket items as well. Is that good with everybody?
That's fine.
All right. Mr. Mayor, good morning. Do you have anything for the dais and the city?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just briefly to thank all the commissioners again for attending this special meeting, for their unity. And this agenda is completely based on focusing on those that are in the most need in our community. And so I just want to thank the commission for doing everything they can to help people in the most difficult times that we're facing right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Reyes, you're recognized if you'd like to introduce your pocket item.
Yes, I would like to, for the Madam City Attorney, can you read the my pocket item?
Yes, Commissioner. A resolution of the Miami City Commission pursuant to Section 1872 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, authorizing the allocation of grant funds from the District 4 share of the City of Miami's Anti-Poverty Initiative in a total amount not to exceed $5,000 to FarmShare Inc., a Florida not-for-profit corporation for food distribution to individuals of low, moderate income, specifically individuals in the city who have been otherwise negatively impacted by COVID-19 pandemic, further authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute any and all necessary documents in accordance with the Anti-Poverty Initiative guidelines, all in a form acceptable to the city attorney for said purpose.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Reyes. So if anyone would like to publicly comment on that item, you can go to miamigov.com/virtual meeting. And you can find the methods through which you can comment publicly on that item. At this time, we'll take up the public comment for the existing items on the agenda, SP 1 through 6.
Caller 1, you're on your line.
Ma'am, you are now live with the City Commission. Go ahead. Okay, my name is Christy. I live in 15119 Southwest 140th Terrace, Miami, Florida 33196. My question is, I don't know if it'll be answered here, but will there be a possible extension for those teachers that don't have their certification yet, or if there's another opportunity for those teachers?
Can you hear me, ma'am? Oh, that's a recording. I'm sorry. I thought it was a live one. I'm learning. Are there any other public comments?
Caller 2, you're live.
Sir, now you're live with the commission. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Garcia, 51 Southwest 19th Road, Miami, Florida, 33129. I just wanted to reach out and comment on the decision of solid waste to stop picking up recycling and to limit bulk waste without an explanation. I just received something in the mail yesterday that said they won't pick it up until further notice. And I just think with taxpayer money, there should be a little more transparency with these services that are essential, such as recycling and trash collection.
Okay, now we'll go to the recorded public comments.
My name is Mariela Lopez Dalbert, resident at the Upper East Side at 661 Northeast 68th Street.
Shall we try again?
Yes, we're going to go to a voicemail in the meantime.
Good morning, Mayor Francis Suarez and the commissioners. I'm glad you're having this great meeting. And my name is Kenny D. Sager. I'm the owner of Austin Burke Clothing Store in Wynwood, Florida. I've been there for 42 years. And I know this is, this sickness with the coronavirus 19 is hurting a lot of people. But we still have to open our stores because economically it's killing us the other way. Like I said, I have 20 employees. We keep our safe distances. We'll have face masks. We're clean. Everything's beautiful. And we're a retail store. And I can't understand how you have liquor stores as essential businesses to be open when there's people hurting each other and getting liquored up. I feel this is it's not the right thing to do. We need to open and do it in a safe manner. And I think the city of Miami, you guys are great. And my business was great until the last 6 weeks. Like I said, I'm 63 years old. I'm ready to go to work. And I think people need to get outside. And I really, really would recommend opening the city up by steps, but doing it in a right way. And I think you guys are going to do it the right way. And Mayor, I congratulate you on handling this tremendously, but I need to open my store and retailers around the city as well as restaurants. So I'm speaking for everyone in the community. As I've been 42 years on the job at Austin Burke in Wynwood, when Wynwood was a bad area. Now it's a great area, but the city is doing so well. Let's get people back out, and you know what? Safe distances, but I think this is more of a political problem. And I know there's people dying, and people die every year of the virus, of the flu. But please, I'd rather take the shot and open my business so economically I can make it and feed my 20-plus employees and keep the Kenny D. Sager. I know you guys will make the right decision. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments, please?
Yes, we're bringing on video.
My name is Mariela Lopez Dalbert, resident at the Upper East Side at 661 Northeast 68th Street, activist and advocate for the city of Miami and the world. I'm calling to tell you that I don't have a specific agenda. My general agenda is that you need to stop making buildings, developing buildings, and allowing developers to wherever they have a space. Instead of making a park or a green area, you build buildings. Biscayne Boulevard from 19th Street all the way to, 79th Street is being filled with buildings, which we don't have the infrastructure to accommodate the residents that supposedly are going to be living in these buildings, which I doubt very much that anyone is going to be fulfilling to live the entire building, since we don't have a real industry in the city other than tourism and restaurants and nightclubs. And we have a pandemic going on, which we won't know if those nightclubs and restaurants will be coming up and running 100% again. And again, you should be concentrating on parks, recreational areas, the commons, which I'm sure you guys know what the commons are, and infrastructure, roads, and public transportation. And stop doing what you're doing, which is quite corrupted, of allowing developers to keep building buildings without any infrastructure for deep pockets and God knows what else you guys do. Okay? So get it together and start doing what you need to do, which is to clean up the city and stop the corruption. Thank you.
I am calling regarding the April 30th COVID-19 meeting. My name is Terry Morales, 1435 Northwest 34th Avenue. The cure cannot be worse than the disease. A proper balance must be reached. We must address the present food chain disruptions at our door. Products currently on our grocery store shelves take time to get there, yet now food such as our meats, swine, poultry, eggs, and produce are being adversely affected due to the abrupt and prolonged cessation. Restaurants buy in bulk. We must reopen, and I only pray it is not too late to return to normalcy. Speaking of prayer, we must reopen our churches and our parks. My concern is of suicidal thoughts due to individuals who have poured their life into their businesses, only now to be stopped for such lengths of time that they may lose their life savings altogether. I have been unceasingly applying for small business administration loans, only to be asked to wait and wait some more with no hope in sight. Suicidal thoughts, yes. If you do not think we are there yet, you are wrong and mistaken. Our restaurants and businesses must be reopened. Our farms must be allowed to reset and hopefully rebound so as to not destroy the precious balance which creates that delicate circle of life. Again, the cure cannot be worse than the disease. Open Miami up. Masks and gloves as needed, but we simply cannot continue to cower to this virus. The basic reason to lessen the curve was so hospitals would not be overrun, and they are not. Let's stop the insanity and return to normalcy. Thank you.
Good morning, sirs. My name is Gonzalo Alvarado. I live in 201 Carmen Boulevard, apartment 830, Key Biscayne, Florida. The subject I'd like to talk to is about reopening. Specifically, I sent an email to the mayor of the city of Miami, basically saying the following. I learned that the county is reopening parks, golf courses, marinas. So Crandon Park Marina will be opening. And when I called my marina, which is the Marine Stadium Marina, I learned that the city of Miami has its own ideas. So with all due respect, gentlemen, I don't think this makes too much sense. I mean, marinas are just less than a mile apart from each other. So I think that it'll be interesting or good if you could unify criteria and also reopen. I don't know what's the status about Rickenbacker, the private marina sitting just next to us. But I think, it's very important not only for our physical health, but our mental health is very important during this very traumatic and challenging times. And being on the ocean certainly helped some of us a lot. So I would really appreciate it. We've been very cautious. We can be very cautious. Strict rules about voting can be established, but I think it would make sense to reopen everything. So everything, and I'm talking about in this particular case about parks, marinas, golf courses, tennis courts, anything that is under the jurisdiction of the city of Miami, in parallel with what the county is doing. I really appreciate. I hope that you can reconsider and change this and reopen tomorrow as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bye.
My name is Alberto Robles. I live at 1268 Southwest 4th Street, Miami, Florida, and I own this house since 1973. I got a problem with the mortgage company that instead of putting my payment in my account, they put it in a suspense account to charge me fees, late fees. On top of that, they're charging me for maintenance of my house that they don't do, and for inspection of my house that they don't do because they are from Texas, Florida. Okay, please, my number is 305-833-2032. Thank you very much.
Are there any more public comments for this meeting?
We're done.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to address a couple of the callers. The first one I thought was a recording, but it actually was live. They were asking about teacher certification. It's outside of our jurisdiction, but we're happy to help guide you. If you want to contact our city manager or my office, we'll be happy to put you in the right direction. There was another call about solid waste, Mr. Manager. I've had a lot of talks with the director, and I am very confident with his plan, but I think there's some communication issues as people don't realize that recycling is still being sorted at the other end. It's just being commingled on your green bin days. So maybe some help with communication and the department, we could look at that. And finally, I just wanted to address the mention of the suicide rate. It has increased during this crisis in the city of Miami, in fact. And it's very serious that we have resources for people that they know where they can call. You can always call 211 here locally, and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. So please know that even though we are separated, you're not alone, and you can reach out for a comforting voice and for someone to listen at any time. Commissioners, I would like to take up items SP1 through SP6. They are all items of the Community Development, the Housing and Community Development Department. I'm very thankful to Director Mensah for these items. Mr. Mensah, would you like to introduce them at all?
I think, Mr. Chair, I think a commissioner needs to introduce him. You mean just present him is what you mean, right?
Just the director, if he'd like to say anything about these items before we take them up.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and commissioners. This is George Mensah, the Director of Housing and Community Development. I really want to thank the mayor and our commissioners for agreeing to have this special meeting. This is very important to our residents, and we're doing everything that we can to be able to assist them during this difficult time. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mensah. I'd like to ask the commissioners if there is a motion on SP 1 through 6.
Move it.
So moved by Commissioner Reyes, seconded by Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla. We'll now open the floor for discussion on these items. Commissioner Carollo, you're recognized.
Yes, Chair. I just like to be put as a sponsor of SP 6 also, along with the mayor.
So noted. Commissioner, are there any questions on these items? Any comments?
I also, Mr. Chair, I'll also like to be added as a co-sponsor on item 6.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla. The clerk will note that. I do have a question on, I believe it's SP 2. I noticed in that we're allocating $347,000 in CDBG funds towards temporary housing for the homeless. If I understand correctly, this is the hotel room program, which is normally managed by the Homeless Trust. I don't believe we've ever spent any of our CDBG funds on this effort before. And I believe the Homeless Trust has increased their spending during this crisis for that issue. Have they run into a shortfall, and are we filling a gap that they have for which they have a shortfall, Mr. Mensah?
Yes, this is George Mensah, Housing and Community Development Director. Yes, when we received the funding, we reached out to our homeless program and asked them if they are short in any resources to be able to help the homeless community. And they told us that one of the problems they are having was in the hotel motel side. And so they provided us a number by which we can assist them. They told us that right now they've spent almost, I believe, $680,000 up to now. And then in April, they spent about $55,000. And that the funds that the county gave them is not enough to take them through September 30th. So this is to kind of fill the gap from today to September 30th.
Thank you. Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla.
On a broader question, Mr. Mensah, does the Homeless Trust Fund have a surplus?
Unfortunately, Commissioner, this is an area that I'm not familiar with. Now see if Sergio or anybody for the homeless program can be able to answer that question.
Can I make a comment on that?
Commissioner Reyes, you're recognized.
Yes.
I'm sorry, let me let Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla finish and then Commissioner Reyes.
Okay.
I would like the question answered. Does our city manager have an answer, or can we have someone see what kind of surplus in their funding the Homeless Trust has?
We can certainly check on that and get back to you. I don't know that we have that answer right now.
Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, I had a very, I would say there was quite an argument or a discussion with Roombook when it came before our commission a couple of years back, or was it a year and a half back? And I asked the same questions that you did. You see, I asked for how much was the budget. I couldn't get an answer, and what was the fund balance and how was it used. And as of today, I haven't received any answer. And I had the same question you had. Also, Mr. Chairman, I want to co-sponsor SB6 also. You have to include.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Commissioner Carollo.
Yes, this is addressed to the city manager. Mr. Manager, what are we doing and have been doing for the last month and a half, actually 2 months, since this crisis started building up with the homeless? I'm seeing that I'm overwhelmed in certain parts of my district, like Jose Marti Park, and nothing's being done. I'm seeing downtown, not just in Bayfront Park, but in other parts of downtown, that it appears that there's as many or more homeless than ever also. What can we do? Because I'm seeing people, and for that matter, let me say this, these are some of the ones that I'm seeing in District 3 are younger people, that look somewhat healthy. And they're on top of each other. They have no mask. And there's more mattresses than I've ever seen, more clothes thrown all over the place that I've ever seen.
Tents.
And while we want to be humane, especially during this crisis, we also have to be humane to our own regular residents overall that live in those districts. That this is what they're seeing when they go out, that you got people that are not following any of the rules and regulations that we put out and are going to be spreading this virus even more. Not to mention all the stuff they're throwing out, feces, etc. So what can we do to solve this, and what has been done so far?
Thank you, Commissioner. And Mr. Manager, if you could also address in this item SB2, we will be allocating $422,000 for homeless program street outreach. If you could let us know exactly how that will be spent in addition to the answer that Commissioner Carrillo is seeking. Thank you.
George, you want to give the answer to that first, and then I'll discuss briefly.
Yes, that particular funds, when the federal government gave us those funds, one of the reasons they gave it to us is also to be able to help cities' budget gaps. So areas where the city is helping the community development, that we can fund that. So what we did was that it specifically allowed us to be able to go to March 1st and fund our green shirts. So we asked the homeless program to provide us an estimate of how much their budget for staff is between March 1st and September 30th, 2020. And that's the amount they gave us. So this is just an effort to be able to ensure that the city budget will be relieved of that amount.
Thank you very much.
But,
And if someone can help us answer Commissioner Carollo's question about what's been done up to this point with regard to homeless from the city's perspective.
And what can we do from here on?
Yes.
Is Sergio on by chance?
Excuse me?
Sergio. Is Sergio on the call? Can we tap him in? Because he would have a lot more detail in terms of what we have done.
Mr. Chair.
I want to put him on the call because he can give you detail in terms of what's being done. We had a budget meeting yesterday, actually specifically with the department, to address how to sort of refocus our efforts a little bit. In particular, the amount of responsibility we have tasked ourselves with regards to the overall county program, the impact it's having for us in terms of the unsheltered population, which is what you're talking about, Commissioner Carollo. We do think it's going to get worse, not better, given the economic situation. I don't think the current situation is going to get any easier. So I think having him participate, since he manages the program, it might be beneficial.
Thank you. And while we're waiting for him, I'll take Commissioner Diaz-Portilla and then Commissioner Reyes.
Mr. Manager, I also think that it's important that we have someone from the Homeless Trust here. Are you coordinating at all with the Homeless Trust and finding some of these solutions that Commissioner Carollo and I think all the commissioners are concerned about? What kind of coordination exists between you and the city and the Homeless Trust right now?
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of coordination.
What is that? What's
again,
that coordination? Can you be more specific?
Well, I'll have to let Milton and or Sergio speak to you to the specific guidelines or the dialogue that occurs between them in particular. I don't have that detailed information. The homeless situation for us is something that we're going to have to recalibrate a bit. And that was a major topic of our meeting yesterday, particularly because we're not really aligned with, I think, what has been done historically relative to the county and the funding that we manage with the Homeless Trust. So we've talked about totally recommitting ourselves to a different plan, which we're working on now. I don't know if Sergio's jumped on yet.
That's all right, Commissioner Reyes. Well, and as Sergio comes in, he'll address your questions, Commissioner Diaz-Portilla, and of course, Commissioner Carollo's initial question.
I just want to make a comment, and I have a question. My question is, Madam City Attorney, we still, even that we are in this state of emergency, we are still held back by the Pottergene ruling. I mean, we cannot make them wear masks or tell them to move from where they are, or move them, or trying to enforce the social distance. I mean, we cannot do anything. Our hands are tied, right? Still.
We are still under the Pottinger appeal. However, we can reach out to the ACLU, talk to them so that they can help us with either distributing masks and social distancing, so they can help their clients as well. We all want to work together to be able to help this population.
What we at DVA, we have been distributing hand sanitizers, and also just with the city of Miami, we're opening a couple of opening 6 porta potties, bathrooms, and that is going to be locked at 9 because they use it sometimes they use it to sleep in, and they will try to destroy it. And it's, we are coordinating how to manage those bathrooms. But my main concern is that we cannot enforce any of our, whatever decision we made, that we want to, we are asking people to be, to agree to, or to be at 6 feet distance from one to the other. We cannot do that with them. Social distance, we cannot enforce that. Enforcement is one thing that we cannot do with that population. And Commissioner Carollo, in my district, I have seen very young people. You see, the other day I was driving on 8th Street and I saw someone on the bus benches that they were, I think, no more than 20, maybe 18, 19, 20 years old. And definitely they were homeless. I mean, they were just sitting there and using the benches as a bed. And I do understand and I do agree with you. I have seen an increase, and I don't know if it is because of all the jobs that have been lost, or what other reason is. I would like somebody that has more.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. And so we do have Sergio on the line now. And Sergio, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Sorry to put you on the spot. Commissioner Carollo is asking what our steps to date during the crisis with regard to the homeless have been. Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla would like to know about our relationship with the Homeless Trust, as well as any of the budget surplus that the Homeless Trust has and how they're allocating their funds, because we are voting today on helping the Homeless Trust fill some of those gaps with regard to outreach, with regard to hotel rooms. If you could introduce yourself, I know you are on the front line of the homeless situation for the city of Miami, and we thank you for your service. If you could help us answer some of these questions. Good morning.
Good morning, Sergio Torres, with the Assistant Director of the Department of Human Services, the Homeless Division. We would like to talk about things that the city has done in terms of the COVID, or what is the funding, but that's our relation. Our relation with the Homeless Trust goes back to more than 20 years ago. The Homeless Trust is the main funder of many of the outreach salaries through 3 federal grants and another grant that is called the Memoranda of Agreement, and another contribution of $120,000 that goes to pretty much salaries and benefits. I have broken down, ready available, the numbers of the cost of the Homeless Trust contribution in terms of salaries, and the City of Miami contribution in terms of salaries and benefits. I'm not talking about hotel motel. Hotel motel is a different activity that has been throughout the years completely funded through the Homeless Trust, and every year we run out of funds because it's difficult. We have a policy that we will not allow any cheapness out of the street, so it's something that is unmanageable. I mean, it's unpredictable, but the history said that we have spending more than $1 million every year in moving families to a hotel. The policy said that we will not allow children on the street. So when the shelters are up to capacity, we move family to 2 vendors that have been contracted through the City of Miami procurement department, and the expenses go from every year from $100,000 to $1,200,000.
And just to clarify, Sarah, just sorry to interrupt. When you say we're spending $1 million, you're talking about the Homeless Trust, not the City of Miami.
The City of Miami, at some point, and this is the predicament that we are in the middle right now, the City of Miami at some point has to step in and fund the hotel motel expenses with its general funds. Yes, that happened. Even though at the end of the year that fund is reimbursed by the Homeless Trust, the portion of the fiscal year is pretty much funded by the City of Miami general funds. Because the allocation at the beginning of the fiscal year from the Homeless Trust is now sufficient to cover the entire fiscal year.
Thank you. And if you could tell us, before we open a general discussion about the budget of the Homeless Trust, could you tell us what actions have been taken by the City of Miami with regard to the homeless since the crisis?
Since the crisis started, we have devoted most of the resources that have been available to deal with this pandemic. I mean, this is something that we had never experienced before, so we are pretty much learning from the things that we're doing right now. I would tell you that not the idea, but actually the perception that there's more homeless on the street is not a perception, it's reality. There's more homeless on the street. Why? Because most of the shelters that we work with have limited the admission of clients because they have to implement also the social distance within the shelters. So that limited the capacity of their dormitory. So we have been not getting any shelter beds to move people in. Before the COVID, we usually played around 15, 20 people a day. And pretty much now, I would tell you exactly, the bed count today has been three beds for homeless people. So yes, there's more people on the street because we have been limited on on the capacity of moving people to the shelters.
Thank you. How are the homeless being educated about social distancing, and how are they receiving testing if they need it?
That was one of the first things that we did. We got a donation from the Miami Downtown Development Authority of hand sanitizers, and there was another pack of 4 ounces container of hand sanitizer. That was the first thing that we did. We passed out hand sanitizer to the homeless out there, along with a flyer that was put together by our fire department. We work with our fire department with Chief Evia, and they put together this flyer. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to put the flyer over.
That's fine.
It's a flyer, pretty much educating homeless people about the social distancing, about the basic hygiene measures that they should take based on this. We work on placing all the 10 wash down stations across the city. We have one by Jose Marti Park. We have one by the Dominus Park. We got 2 in downtown Miami. We have another one in 14th and First, and then there's 2 more by Camilo House.
There's a couple questions here, Sergio, but if you could beforehand, just what about testing for the homeless?
This is something that we have started doing 2 weeks. I mean, this is the 2nd week that we are actually testing homeless people. Through the Lazarus project, we have secured through the homeless trust from Camilo House testing for the homeless. So we are basically out in the field with that, with a vehicle, the city outreach. It's a team comprised of the outreach from the Green Shirts and Camilo's house. And they have the testing, and we have been, I cannot tell you exactly how many people we have tested already, but they're close to 100 people, maybe more. And there is another on-site testing at Camilo House, outside Camilo House, that is testing people as well. So we have
sorry, Commissioner DLP, Commissioner Reyes had his hand up first, and then I'll go to you directly. Commissioner Reyes, you're on mute.
I want to also maybe some of you don't remember, but one of the priorities that we had, one of the legislative priorities that we had last year was to for us to, we asked the legislation, I mean the state government legislatures to allow us to obtain, just like Miami Beach did, that they separated themselves from the homeless trust, and they receive the contribution that is made by the restaurants and the hotels. Instead of going through the homeless trust, should go through us. And then what we wanted to do is for us to be able to obtain those funds and use it as we see fit in trying to solve this problem, the homeless problem. Also, I want to inform that we have hand sanitation. Also, we have stations by every single porta potty that we have, all the bathrooms that we have, and we have also in DBA we have one another bathroom installed that it's open every day. Bayfront Park, there's a bathroom there, and we've been trying by all means trying to keep them informed and working with the Sergio and Mr. Vickers. We've been trying to do that. I mean, by trying to work with them as much. But this request that was made, I don't know how far did it go, but the request to separate ourselves from the homeless trust, it was one of our legislative priorities last year. I don't know how far it goes. Somebody can please inform me about it, because I don't know.
All right, so let's hold for an answer on that one. Let's go back to Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, and Sergio, if you could stay on, please. I think there's some more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this question is for Sergio. And Sergio, with all due respect, that's not really an adequate answer on that. You don't know how many homeless we have tested. I think that we need to know, and whoever's in charge of doing this needs to know exactly how many homeless people we have tested, what the results are, positive, negative. We also need to know, I would like to know at least an answer to how many homeless, what the count is on how many homeless people we have living within the city, within city boundaries, and how are we dealing with them, how many masks have been distributed to them, what kind of education you have done, how many people do you have on the street educating the homeless. So what I'm looking for, and what I think we all should be looking for, are specifics. We're in the middle of a crisis. These people are the probably other than our senior population, probably the most adversely impacted, don't have resources. A lot of them have mental issues they're dealing with and don't have resources. Hand sanitizer works. I think it's commendable, but that's not even, tip of the iceberg on what we need to do here. And the first step in finding a solution to any problem is having data and numbers. How many have you tested? How many do you expect to test? What are the results of those tests? How many people do we have to test? And the list goes on specifics that I think this commission wants, that I want answers to. Do you have any of those answers?
I do. I know that the numbers are there, so it doesn't matter. Give me some time so I can put all those numbers together. In terms of masks, we have distributed 5,000 masks to the homeless people along with meals. I'm gonna work now getting how many people have been tested, how many they have been positive, how many people are actually isolated, how many are pending the results. I can get that to you. I mean, yes, it's feasible.
And if I may, it's sort of a line of questioning, and I know I'm waiting for the answers. We'll wait for the answers of those. The overall concern I have is that it's difficult for us to make decisions, fiscal decisions in particular, that require money to be handed out to other organizations that probably have a surplus in the millions without us knowing what we're doing and where we're spending those dollars. And what is it for? Is it for testing? Is it for masks? Is it for hotel rooms so they can have the 6 feet distancing? Because the Camilo's House and other shelters are not taking them in. Where are they living? Where are they sleeping? All these questions have to be part of a comprehensive plan. And if we're not coordinating with the Homeless Trust, who's empowered to do this, because they are, and they have a surplus and they're not doing it, then what are we doing? Because ultimately we have to respond to our residents, and we have to have the accurate data, accurate information, up to the minute, real-time information, so we can make real-time and find immediate solutions to these problems. So those are the kind of things. How many homeless people do we have living today? How many do you estimate within our city boundaries, Mr. Torres?
656 homeless people within city boundaries.
656, and that does not include the additional people that we now have on the streets, right? That doesn't include. That was the last count. I think they do a twice a year count.
Yeah, we do the count twice a year. That number is for the January count.
For COVID-19, so that's increased. So we have more on the street right now. So 656 out of how many are in the whole county? 1,100, 1,200? What's that number?
1,177.
Something like that. Okay, so we have about 60, 65% of the whole homeless population of the county within our city boundaries.
You're absolutely correct, sir.
And I'm sure we don't get 65% of the attention from the Homeless Trust.
Absolutely
right?
not.
Right? We probably don't get all the resources from them. It's a 65% allocation to the city of Miami boundaries, correct?
If we do the numbers, I will tell you just one figure. If we were to purchase all the emergency beds that the city of Miami had control of, we were spending $11 million just to get access to 1,500 beds that we have in the continuum care, emergency shelter beds. Just that. I mean, from that, you got to go then how many transitional beds and how many emergency beds. That's all controlled by the Homeless Trust. I mean, Runbook, I get text from Runbook. He's online. He can answer some of the questions.
Thank you. And just a moment, Commissioner Reyes. Commissioner Carollo had a question, but before that, Art, if you could prepare an answer for Commissioner Reyes with regard to the legislative priority side of things. And before that, I'll go to Commissioner Carollo.
How much money have we in the average given for homeless in the city of Miami on a yearly budget?
How much money? I'm sorry, Commissioner, could you repeat that question?
Well, let me make it even simpler. In the fiscal year budget that we're in now, how much money have you been given, or how much money has been approved in this fiscal year's budget for homeless programs overall?
All right, the city contribution to the homeless program in terms of salaries and benefits.
Everything.
Yeah. The total number is $1,881,861. $1,800,000.
Is that from all the different pots that we have provided money?
That's general funds, just ESG, Emergency Solution Grant that is given to us through community development. It's including all that.
That's the full amount,
And the
whether it's general
contribution from the,
is that the full amount, whether general fund or not?
that's the total amount, the general fund, the City of Miami general fund contribution towards salaries and benefits.
General fund, but I'm talking now outside of general fund.
Outside general fund covered by grants and other funding from food and beverage tax is $1,003,047.
So what's the total? That's what I asked originally, the total amount.
$3,229,000.
Well, with 3 million, almost $300,000, we can leverage that to buy hotels. Especially now, the prices are even lower than they were before. And we could do a lot better in putting homeless and getting them out of the street than what I'm seeing we're doing right now. Look, I asked a simple question, and what I got were bureaucratic answers and excuses, not solutions. Potager was around 20 years back. When I was mayor, we had Potager. We didn't have all these homeless like you see everywhere. What happened was that past administrations, and I'm not blaming the last 2 years. The last 2 years, we inherited this. Past administration kept letting it go till we got to where we are today. Over 80% of the homeless or so-called homeless that we have in the streets are not from the city of Miami. In fact, the vast majority are not even from Miami-Dade County. They're out of the state of Florida. The vast majority have drug and alcohol problems, besides other mental problems that they have. And they were sent to us. And I submit to you that some of the new faces that you see out there, they're not local people. They're being sent from other places because they know we're the only city in America. And if I'm wrong, point any other one to me in America that had this whole Potager law. And this is why the minute I came back as commissioner, I asked the city commission and the administration to go back to court, to federal court, and challenge this. We did, and we won at the local federal court. They're challenging it. The American Civil Liberties Union, of course, they're claiming their clients, they're doing it for them. But you know what? This whole homeless then has become one heck of a business. The American Civil Liberties Union makes money out of it. Others in the business make money out of it. And the only people that are losing out are the residents of Miami. And I'm not going to hear from anybody that we can't do anything. We can't touch them. If they want to be on top of each other, they're the only residents that have that right. We can't do anything about it. You can't tell me that homeless have more rights than our non-homeless residents. And this is what I'm hearing here, basically, that, hey, we got to turn the other way. They could do whatever they want. They can urinate in any place they want. They could throw their poo-poo anywhere they want. They could fornicate in the middle of the street, and we can't do anything about it. That's hogwash. And I've heard from everybody except from the people that enforce our laws, the police department. And unfortunately, neither I nor any of us have the power to direct any employee under a charter on something of this nature, but we certainly get the complaints and the blame. And I'm personally tired of hearing, not just from my residents in District 3, but throughout the city as a whole, of the homeless population, and then getting blamed for it while we can't do anything about it. It's the administration that could do something about it. And from the people in our administration, all that I hear are excuses of why you don't want to or you can't do anything about it. But we certainly can.
Thank you, Commissioner Carollo. There's a couple other questions from the commissioners, but before we get to you, if we can catch up on some of the answers that are already out there. Art, do we have anything from Mr. Pasquale or anyone with regard to legislative priorities on the Homeless Trust?
Yeah, the legislative movement to bifurcate from or segregate ourselves from the Homeless Trust received no sponsors with our legislative delegation. I think you can kind of guess why, in terms of the political temperature and the fact that obviously the Homeless Trust is chaired by Ron Book. I think there was an adversity to take that on. Not saying that we can't do it again the next legislative session, and we can do so vigorously if the commission so desires.
Thank you, Art. And from another angle, I know the census is this year and we're at about 480,000. Is it true that if we reach 500,000, we'll have a direct line to HUD and we might be able to bypass the Homeless Trust? All the more reason to work on the census. I noticed when you say the word $1 million 3 times, Chris Rose suddenly appears on the screen. We have our budget director here. Is there anything you'd like to address with what's been asked so far, Chris?
Good morning, commissioners. No, sir. Sergio laid it out very well. I think one of the topics he might have missed was some of the funds that we also provide to the Camillus House that are not directly in his budget that are also addressing homeless issues. So we have.
How much is that, Chris?
That is. I had it in front of me, but it's in the range of $200,000. I'll verify the exact number, but on top of what Sergio was talking about, we've got that as well. But I agree with his 3.3 million.
Thank you. I'll go to Commissioner Reyes and Commissioner Diaz-Labortilla. And if I disappear from the screen for a second, my daughters are homeschooling, so I need to check on them. Commissioner Reyes, you have the floor.
Listen, Commissioner Diaz-Labortilla, you had a couple of questions, and these are the questions that I've been answering. I've been asking all along since I first got here. The budget, estimated budget that for the homeless trust is over $65 million. $65 million. And the information that I have, the reserve as of today is around $18.2 million. And Chris, how much is our contribution from the taxes that we should be receiving, could be receiving that for that? I mean, to address our homeless problem, and we are passing on to the Homeless Trust. How much is it?
We do not collect those funds ourselves through the chair. Forgive me.
You have an estimate?
I don't have an estimate at this time. I know we did it. We did an analysis about 2 years ago on it.
Yes, you did.
Forgive me, I don't remember what that number is.
Yes, you did. Yeah, and it was a substantial number. And I when I have that very lively conversation with Ron Book, I use the same rationale that Commissioner Carollo is. If we are contributing $20,000 and $20 million, and there are 600 homeless, you see, you get about, I would say, 300,000 per homeless, and 200,000 per homeless. How much money does it take to rent an apartment and keep them in an apartment instead of on the streets? You see, and you have $65 million, and we have 1,100 homeless. Divide that, and you see how much the Homeless Trust is receiving per homeless. You see that big, in my opinion, is not used the way that it should be, and I think that we as a city, we should have the freedom of implementing our programs. And since we are the city that is most affected by this problem, we should be controlling the solution for this, or deciding what are the policies that are we going to do. That's why I've been always asking that we bifurcate and you receive those funds.
I have an estimate of the food and beverage tax contribution from the city.
Go ahead, Sergio, and then I'll go to Alex.
It's about 30% of the total contribution, and the food and beverage tax varies every year. So they would say the average contribution might go from $20,000, $20 million. I'm sorry.
$20 million. That's what I estimated.
So the contribution goes somehow $7 million from the city. That's a gross estimate.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I don't know if your question, Commissioner Diaz-Labortilla, was answered.
I'll let Commissioner
It
Diaz.
wasn't, it wasn't, but that's okay. Look, I think that we probably should consider having a special commission meeting on this topic alone. I think it's that serious. It's a topic we've been dealing with for way before I got here, before you got here, Commissioner Reyes, and way before Commissioner Carollo, before Mayor Suarez got here. It's an issue that goes back a long, long time. And I think that we probably need to have a special commission meeting to deal with it. I'm sorry I started the conversation about the homeless trust and the debate. We have other issues to deal with today that are more immediate in nature. But the reason why I started is because I think I wanted to know how many people have actually been tested. And I found out under about 100, I think Mr. Torres said. He told us he has 656. To me, it's a no-brainer. Why don't you test the 656? What's the delay in that? I mean, why hasn't that happened? That should have been, these people are people that can easily transmit because they're mobile, that are not exercising social distancing, are not wearing masks, have alcohol and drug issues, as Commissioner Carollo pointed out, and mental issues. And so these are people that are hard to educate and hard to teach them the new ways, the new normal, as people are calling it. So why not test them, at least to know who's positive, who's negative, and at least, to isolate them and to keep them from contaminating and spreading the virus throughout other parts of the community. To me, it's just a no-brainer. How much does that cost? Why hasn't that happened, and why can't it happen tomorrow?
Can we address?
Well, I'm not finished, Mr. Noriega. So to me, it's and the question is directed not to you, Mr. Torres. I know that you kind of inherited this issue also. A lot of us have. But Mr. Noriega is a new manager, and he's dealing with a crisis that's been thrust upon all of us. And I understand that he's got a lot of moving parts and pieces in this whole crisis. But this is something that we probably could do immediately. And I would like to figure out a way of maybe we can direct the city manager to do that and just say, look, tomorrow morning, send your troops out there and test them. And let's at least take that off the table. So when you send your troops out there to test them, give them masks to make sure the ones that don't have masks, make sure they'll, and the kind of things that are kind of common sense approach to things that sometimes gets trapped in the bureaucratic language that we've heard today about how many and homeless trust and how many dollars here and there and back and forth. The debate is a broader debate, a bigger debate, and a very long debate. And I have Mr. Book texting my chief of staff that he wants to come on the show on the commission meeting to talk to us today. I don't want to get into that debate if we can avoid it. I think we can move on and maybe have a special commission meeting for that. But those specific things, I think the first person to ask a question was Commissioner Russell. What are we doing with our homeless? Are we testing them? Specifically is what he asked. And that's what I want to know. And I got the answer. I didn't like the answer. So let's test them. And Mr. Manager, I would recommend that that's what we should do. I don't know if other commissioners agree with me, but I think it's a way to move forward and kind of take this off the table and take the next step in the things that we need to do to address the issue.
You recognize, Mr. Manager.
So the question I have in particular to that set of instructions or that direction being given, do we have the ability to test them if they don't want to be tested? Do we have the right? I mean, because that's really the question here. I mean, they do have rights, and that's
of course
like any individual does, and I'm not sure we can force testing on them if they're not a willing participant.
Madam City Attorney?
Right. It would have to be voluntary, obviously. And again, I think this is something that we need to discuss in a few briefings, not necessarily a special meeting right now. And we can definitely get more information to you to discuss the options. I know that the manager was working on.
No. Wait, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Commissioner, you recognize.
There's Mr. Commissioner Russell, may I?
Yes, you're recognized.
No, this is a policy decision this commission will make. This is not discussing in briefings and going back and forth in private conversation. It's something that we need to address as a matter of public policy, that we make the decision on what we want to do. Of course, we can't force test them. We all know the answer to that question. Have we tried to test them? Have we tried, Mr. Noriega, to test them? Have we asked them if they want to be tested? And that's really the issue I'm addressing. This back and forth on whether we have private conversations to figure out a problem that hasn't been figured out in 15, 20 years is not going to solve the issue. That's why I recommend a special commission meeting we can have in the sunshine, open to the public. This is what we're debating. These are the solutions. These are the ideas. And all of us could be, for all the world to see what we're doing, how we're addressing the issues. Mr. Commissioner Carollo said, if we get blamed for it, then let's really get blamed for it, or let's try to find a solution. But don't get blamed for something that we have no say in, that we get legalese and bureaucratic language in the back and forth, and we get no answer to how much surplus the Homeless Trust has. And Mr. Book says this, and somebody else says that. I don't care about any of that. I want to do it publicly, openly, so that we can have the debate, and then the city commission and our mayor can come up with solutions and say, this is what we want to do as a matter of public policy. We're the public policy makers, not anybody else except the 5 commissioners and our mayor. We make the public policy here. We're accountable at the ballot box for the decisions we make. And so we should have the power to make the decisions publicly and openly so that we can have the right solution to this problem, or at least during a crisis, we don't have what we have right now, that we are people that are not being tested, people that don't have masks for this reason or for that reason, that when they should be tested immediately.
Commissioner Reyes.
Yes, Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, the information that I provided, that I gave you, it was just an answer to your question. You cannot diminish the importance of the funds and the way they have been used. And I think that we should go into, we should have a special commission meeting or a sunshine meeting with all of us there and get all the input from people that they are professionals in the field and see if we can, we can start programs and a comprehensive program that will undertake also testing, re-education, and identifying the ones that want to leave the streets, and because we're going to have homeless that they accept that way of life, and then you won't be able to get them off the streets. But the ones that we can do something for it, they should be identified, and we should be working with it. But that the question you asked, specific questions about the surplus, what they had, and that's what I gave you, because I think that in order to do any of these programs, we're going to need, either you like it or not, we're going to need money. Okay, sure. And we're going to need money, and that those funds now, they are not in our hands. They are in somebody else's hands.
But maybe
we can get.
Okay, that's my whole point. My whole point is that we're allocating funds to the homeless trust, and you're telling me we can test 656 people.
That's right. That is. I agree with you 200%. And I think that either we get a better deal and a better cooperation with the homeless trust, or we get our money and we do it ourselves.
Thank you. So I think we will be scheduling a special meeting where the administration can prepare a little more thoroughly for this discussion. We'll take on not only how the Homeless Trust in the City of Miami is dealing with the homeless during the COVID crisis, but also the history of the relationship, where it goes forward, and how the budget is used. I think this is a very good and robust discussion for us to have. Absolutely. And at which point Mr. Book will be very welcome to join us in that special meeting.
And I would like to request our city clerk that I want to ask for that special commission meeting, and you can inform the other commissioners the way you normally do it, Mr. Hannon, that we want to have a special commission meeting to discuss this issue. If the three commissioners agree, or maybe the mayor can call the meeting, whichever mechanism you use, just to make sure that we actually get to and address it before we're past the COVID-19 crisis. In the interim of the special commission meeting and debate and all the testimony and all the things we're going to go through, I would like for at least for us to try to test them as much as we can, Mr. Manager, as quickly as we can, to provide masks to them, make sure they all are at least given the opportunity to have masks, and and to whatever education program you said you had in place, Mr. Torres. I don't know what that program is, how many people are involved in that program. I don't know the details of it, but it'd be good for you to ramp it up a little bit and kind of get this going so that we can at least address this very vulnerable population's needs right now. This is not something that can wait till another commission meeting, another debate, and more bureaucracy. I think there's something that needs to be done sooner rather than later. My 2 cents.
Thank you. Now, this was a very relevant conversation to our vote today, as these items are allocating over $1 million to help fill the gaps of the Homeless Trust in their nearly $60 million budget. These are things we have to do right now during this crisis. But one thing that Sergio mentioned that concerns me is the potential for using general funds for hotel rooms for the homeless, as this is the least efficient way to house the homeless. It is the most expensive daily way. And the Homeless Trust does it out of need for not enough shelter beds and not enough extremely low income housing for them to move out into. So we have a broader problem to address here. But if we start depleting our general fund to make up for the Homeless Trust, it's going to be a significant issue for us. For today, we're dealing with CDBG funds, which is an appropriate use of these funds if directed by the policy of this board. So we have a motion and a second on SPs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Is there any further discussion on the items?
I have a very quick question on the allocation of the $1.633 million.
Yes.
About $750,000 is going to Citrus Health Network. Tell me how that allocation was made, how that entity was picked. What was the process of that?
I believe Citrus is getting 700,000 from this.
They're getting 765,000.
Correct.
I'm sorry, 700,000, but they're getting 65 more in administration. So they're getting $765,000, $750,000, more or less.
Yes.
Which is a little bit under half of the total amount. How did that come about, Mr. Mensah?
Yes, Commissioner. The Citrus Hands Network is a network of nonprofits throughout the year. And we chose them through an RFP about 2 years back. And they are currently the organization that is handling our current program. So this is just an additional monies to them, which was provided. We are required by regulation.
Okay, so they went through an RFP process a few years. I didn't know that. So that's so now they're the only entity that does this, right? For us?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I want to know. I wasn't sure if they had gone through an RFP process before or not for this particular responsibility.
Yes.
Yes. What City of Miami declared an emergency. The county declared an emergency. The state of Florida declared an emergency. The federal government declared an emergency. Pottinger does not apply during the emergency.
I hope so.
So for anybody to be telling me that even after winning in court, we're in appeal now because they appeal, but we won in court. Even after winning in court during this emergency, that Pottinger applies, it's not so. And even more so, the social distancing can be enforced. It very well can be enforced. The problem here is the will to enforce our laws and to protect all of our residents. That's the whole problem, the will. And this is what I am not seeing, the will to protect all of our residents. Last week, I am told that the Homeless Trust went out to Marti Park. They took 8 people out of there for hotels. The rest, they didn't want to go. Now, think about this. Why would people that are being offered hotels not want to go? Because they're used to doing whatever they please in the streets. And we have rights too. The vast majority of our non-homeless residents also have rights. So if they don't want hotels under this emergency, particularly, we have rights to get them off the streets. We have rights to not allow them to be on top of each other. And I've seen that personally. We have rights also. It's not just homeless that are sent to us by all 4 corners of the rest of America because they know that Miami is the place that they could dump them in.
Heavens.
Mr. Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, would you be open to adding a discussion of the Pottinger Agreement onto your special meeting?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I would think that would be part of the debate, right? I agree with Commissioner Carollo. We are under an emergency situation right now, and I'm confident. And again, we'll have our attorney brief us during that meeting whether Pottinger applies or not. But I agree. I agree that it should be part of the conversation. I think it will be a major part of the conversation. Obviously, we want to have not only our people, we invite Mr. Book and others to come and testify and sort of get all the answers. And Commissioner Reyes has been asking these questions for a year and a half, I think. And we really need the answers so we can make better decisions. Back to what I said from the beginning, Mr. Chair, we can't offer solutions if we don't know that we don't have the data and the information that we need to have to make intelligent decisions and propose intelligent solutions to the problems we have.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And so we will schedule that meeting. I certainly have opinions with regard to this issue. I may not agree with you all on every point, especially with regard I did vote with us on the Pottinger, but I do not believe that arresting the homeless will solve our situation. I don't think that's the main
I
problem.
don't think anyone, I don't think anyone.
No,
has-
no.
The Pottinger is what keeps us from arresting someone for the behavior.
I understand, but that's not what anyone said here.
Okay.
It says whether we can enforce social distancing, whether we can test, whether we can remove them, things that's not what Commissioner Carollo said. What Commissioner Carollo, and I'm sure he's more than able to defend his point, but that's not what he said. Nobody talked about arresting. We talked
But by
about
waiving Pottinger, that's really the only thing we'd be creating is an avenue through which to arrest.
Well, we'll have the debate. We'll have the debate at the. I think it's a little bit of sensationalistic comment to make, Commissioner.
I apologize. I don't mean it.
That's not what we're talking about here. You know, that's not what we're talking about. So let's have the debate during the special commission meeting. We can discuss it there better.
But I do support the removal of Pottinger. What I would ask the city attorney to do to research as we lead into this special meeting, and any direction we give to the manager, we are in an appeal on Pottinger. We don't want to jeopardize that appeal. And so by testing whether, I'm sure we can make an interpretation through which we can waive Pottinger under an emergency circumstance. But I'd like you to study whether or not that affects the strength of our case on appeal. Commissioner Carollo, you had a comment.
Yeah, if it'll make you feel better, I'll make a resolution that we give each homeless $10,000 and a one-way bus ticket out of Miami. It'll be cheaper than what we're spending now. And I'll assure you that you're going to have every one of them taking us up on it and going. And this way you can sleep well at night.
And they will return again.
All right.
Not really.
We have a motion. We have a second on SP 1 through 6. Is there any further comments or questions?
Chairman, with regard to SP4, it needs to be heard before SP5. And
unless we vote as a block, is my understanding.
There needs to be an amendment to SP5 with regard to modifications, because there's a blank on SP5 that needs to be filled in. So.
All right. I was told there's an amendment for SP4 as well by the clerk, where the fifth whereas clause needs to insert resolution R-20-0135. Is that separate than the amendment you're talking about, Madam City Attorney?
My understanding is that the amendment is to SP5.
Mr. Clerk?
The amendments to SP4, the blanks in the fifth whereas clause for SP4.
Thank you. Does the mover and seconder accept the amendment to insert Reso R-20-0135?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Is there any further comments or questions on SPs 1 through 6? And we can vote them as a block, right, Madam City Attorney?
If you
Amendment also?
Yes. Oh, no. Yours will come next. We'll open public comment for the.
No. I'm talking that we can vote it as a block, including the amendment.
Yes.
But we have to vote for the amendment separately.
No. I just want to make sure with regard to the order.
I want to make sure.
We have to approve 5 before 4, but if we vote them as a block simultaneously, it should be fine, right, Madam City Attorney?
I've already told you my preference on those things, but it's fine. Just vote as long as that it is mentioned on the record.
Thank you very much. I believe we are legally sound, but if the city attorney would find comfort, would the mover and seconder allow the motion and second for SP5 first, and then we'll take the remainder of the block up second, so that we do it in an appropriate order that that makes sense.
Yes.
SP4 is the one. Okay, I'm sorry.
We need SP5 before SP4, and SP4 is the one we're amending to fill in the blank.
Okay.
I think Commissioner Reyes makes that motion. I'll second it.
All right.
SP5.
We have a mover, Commissioner Reyes is the mover, and second, Madam City Attorney.
SP4 is the allocation. SP4 is the one that allocates all the money. So that's why it needs to be first.
Understood. No, SP5 needs to be first.
Who's on first?
Mr. Clerk.
SP5 is the allocation. SP4 is the item that will need to be amended to include the resolution number from SP5.
So SP4 needs to come first.
No, SP5 would need to be adopted first so that a resolution number is assigned to SP5.
Okay, so Commissioner Arroyo moves SP5 and I second it. How about that?
That's right. Fantastic.
Does that work for everybody? As amended. SP5 as amended.
As amended.
Moved by Commissioner Arroyo.
SP5, Commissioner Carollo, are you the mover?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Diaz-Portillo is the second on SP5. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? SP5 passes.
And Chair, for the record, that passes 4-0 with Commissioner Hardeman absent.
Correct. SPs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 are on the floor. Is there a motion for that?
I'll move
Sec-
it.
So move. I think I heard Commissioner Carollo there first, seconded by Commissioner Diaz-Portillo. Do we accept the amendment for SP4 to fill in the blank?
Yes.
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 Thank you, and I believe we have that noted on the record. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes on SPs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Thank you very much for Commissioner Reyes's pocket item. Have we received any public comment since the start of this meeting?
I have a question about that,
Commissioner Diaz-Portillo, you recognize.
and maybe perhaps a question to our city attorney. One, because we don't set precedents here in special meetings that have been noticed, and we have specifically deal with certain items. This item has a fiscal impact, even though it's $5,000, but it's still a fiscal impact. And can we bring up pocket items in these special meetings? Emergency meetings have been called.
Right. As long as the pocket has to do with the items that were noticed on the agenda, the items noticed on the agenda had to do with CD and COVID related items. So this pocket is proper. Obviously, I would rather no pocket, but it is proper.
Okay, and the fiscal impact doesn't affect it in your opinion either?
The fiscal impact is, my understanding is the $5,000 are in the API funds.
In my budget.
That has been addressed. If Mr. Rose would like to chime in, that would be great.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, before we move forward, Mr. Clerk, I want you to know that everyone knows that I'm here digitally. I've been signed in, and I want to be counted for the count along my colleagues, for the vote along my colleagues.
Okay.
Thank you. Chris, you're recognized.
Good morning again, commissioners. Yes, the funding is in the API already. I believe what the city attorney is referring to is in chapter 2, and what Commissioner Diaz-Portillo might be referring to. In chapter 2, it requires budget office review before the city commission votes on it, and pocket items usually do not have that option. So that's what I think is being referred to.
That's correct, and the reason, and of course, I'm not questioning Commissioner Reyes, through the chair, of course. I'm not questioning your ability to allocate your dollars as you wish. I just think the process to me is always very important, and because it could get run off the rails along the way. People start making fiscal pocket items left and right without going through budget. We kind of can lose control of it. So I'm always very concerned when these things happen. I just want to make sure that we understand that it's your money, and it's the money that you have, not your money, it's the people's money, but it's the money that you have a right to allocate and to bring forward as a pocket item. But sometimes when it impacts dollars, it should go through the budget office first. We want to make sure that the pocket item is in order for this kind of a commission meeting.
Thank you. Just a minute, Commissioner Reyes. Madam City Attorney, for a pocket item in a special meeting, you mentioned it has to be relevant to the title of the meeting or the
absolutely
what the meeting is called for. But if I'm not mistaken, it also has to have an emergency nature.
Right. So all right.
We are in an emergency. If you don't
It
forget.
has the emergency nature of it, and it also it was sent to everyone prior to it being discussed here today. And it does have my understanding was that it was already addressed fiscally because the monies were available. And it was sent to Mr. Rose's office. If Mr. Rose has not had the ability to review it, then he could tell us now. But that is technically the process. That is why I prefer.
That is not the process. That is not the process. We don't want to go down that road moving forward. I guarantee you, this is not the process we want to follow.
Okay. Listen. I don't want to start up, but I mean, wait a minute, Mr. Diaz-Portillo. I haven't finished yet, Commissioner. I'm a senator.
I hadn't finished either, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay, well,
but you interrupted me. Now go ahead.
Okay, go right ahead, man. You interrupted. You don't want to be interrupted. Go right ahead. What? Go right ahead. I don't have any problem. The only thing that I was going to say is that if this is going to create a discussion for whatever reason, I said you don't want to. I mean, you consider that this is violate the process. I am a process guy. I mean, my intention is never to violate process. And before you came in, I was always in favor of keeping the process and going through the process. If this is going to create this argument or this discussion, and if this is going to set a precedent, I don't want to do that. I will just take my resolution back. You see, I will withdraw until next meeting, and that's it. But the only thing that I want to do is I want to give a contribution to an institution that has been helping us for so long in this time of emergency. But if this is going to create this back and forth on the process, or if you think that we are violating the process, I am not in favor of violating our process. So there is nothing to argue around here. I am withdrawing this until our next meeting. Is that clear?
And Commissioner Reyes, I'm going to tack on another 5K from my budget when you put it on the next one, so they'll get
absolutely
5K.
Absolutely.
But I want to do it that way, and so I'm on board with what you're trying to do. Farm Share has done incredible work for us.
That's right.
Incredible work for this community, and they've always been here in times of crisis and times when we haven't had crisis. So I agree with what you're trying to do. I just want to make sure we do it the way we need to do it. So I'm going to tack on another 5,000 to what you're doing.
And I want to make.
I hope that every commissioner will do the same thing from their commission budgets.
Absolutely, I really would like that.
Mr. Mayor, you're recognized.
Hold on a second. I want to just to end this. I agree with you that we have to follow the process, but I want this to be. I mean, we have to continue using this same line of thought. You see, we have to. This has to be permanent, and we cannot be selective. And on when we are going to go through the process, on when we're going to go violate the process. Or do away with the process. Let's be consistent. That's
right.
the only thing that I ask. Okay.
I just need to then have this for the record, because in the past, when there is a fiscal impact, as long as we send it to the budget office has reviewed it prior to this going forward. Pockets have gone forward with a fiscal impact because all that it requires is for the budget office to review it and that the monies are allocated. I am not a fan of pockets. I do not like pockets at any.
But Mr. Rose said he hadn't reviewed it. That's why the whole thing comes up, Vicky. Mr. Rose said he had not reviewed it, had not gone to him. That's the only reason we're having a debate.
Okay.
So the head of budget told us that we're just going on what he's telling us, and we need to believe him.
Absolutely.
Okay, then that's
do
just what I want to clarify.
So it's not an issue at this point.
Right, I wanted to clarify that's why in the past we have had pockets with a fiscal impact because pursuant to the code, as long as it's reviewed. I was not aware that it was not reviewed even though it was sent. Okay, I wanted to clarify that.
Mr. Rose, you wanted to speak. I lost the mayor. I saw him earlier, but I don't see him now. So I'll recognize Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I for the record, I agree with the city attorney. I did receive the item. I received it at 10:30 this morning. This one was a pretty easy one to review. So I can say that I've reviewed this one. There have been pocket items that have come to me after the fact, but this one, the money is available.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I already withdrew this, my item.
That's fine, Commissioner.
And there is no need to argue this. And Mr. Rose, you review it. But if anybody considered that it was not enough time, I mean, it is not my intention to start, some sort of discussion or because of a pocket item or a resolution that it could be undertaken next meeting. My intention was because we are in an emergency, and I know that pocket items have to be that has any fiscal impact are undertaken when there is an emergency. We are under an emergency right now, and I just want to contribute this, but that can help. I mean that can wait. We can do it next meeting, and in the spirit of not causing so much discussion of controversy. The only thing that I'm asking is that we'll be consistent, and anybody's bucket item that has to be treated the same way that this one is being treated.
Thank you,
Okay?
Mr. Mayor.
That's
You're
all I want.
So I'll match Commissioner Diaz-Portia and Commissioner Reyes' contribution, and I'll do 10 for my API for the next meeting. And if we're gonna do a special meeting on homeless, that's another meeting that we could potentially tack this on as an agenda item on that meeting. So I'd be happy to do that if that's what the will of this body is. I'd be happy to do that. I just have a couple questions, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, on rollout of the unemployment benefits. I'm sorry, the rental subsidy, utility subsidy. I just want some clarity because I think what we want to avoid is a little bit of what happened at the state level. I just want to be sure that for the sake of clarity for the public, where are those applications going to be available? Where can people access them? And are we ready to handle the volume of people that are going to inevitably apply for those applications?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mr. Mensa, you're recognized.
Yes,
Sorry, thank you, Mr.
Chairman,
Mayor.
Commissioners. Yes, we are aware of what happened with the state of Florida unemployment paperwork. So we're trying to, as much as possible, to avoid that. The applications will obviously be online. And we also know that there are some of our residents who don't have access to internet. And so for that reason, we also make it possible for you to call in, and we will be able to take the application over the phone by proxy. For that reason, we are setting up a call center-like operation in community development from Monday. There'll be more than 20 people that's available to take applications online and be able to make sure that everyone who calls in is able to access the application. There'll be flyers at the net offices so that if somebody goes to the net office, they will tell them to call. And if net offices are able to, and we're talking with them right now, if they're able to take application, they can also take application for the individual. So now, what that does is that it avoids people lining up in front of our net offices and in front of our offices to get applications because they will be able to call us from anywhere and be able to get application through. So that is the process that we've set up. And we're working with IT to make sure that we have enough bandwidth to make sure that we can take the kind of crush that will come on the online.
If you can work with the commissioner's offices as well and with my office and with communications, because what we should have is an infographic which says you can go here, you can go here, you can go there. This is the date that you're going to receive, because I've been told that you'll receive the benefits directly in 10 days when they qualify. So what is our expected turnaround time? Let's say a bunch of people apply on May 4th. Does that mean that by May 14th, we're expecting to be able to start paying directly the landlords and utility companies? Is that a fair statement?
It depends on how long it takes us to get enough application. As you know, we can only be able to assist 1,300 folks if they get a maximum 1,500. So the intention is that once we think we have enough application, let's say for between 5,000 to 10,000 applications, then we'll run the lottery, which usually, because this is online, we'll be able to just download it quickly and do the lottery maybe in a day. And then people will be contacted to provide us with the documents to show that they qualify. So once they do that,
how long are you going to leave the application period open?
We open it for a minimum of 5 days.
Okay, that's important because I think from the 4th, because the whole idea is we want to try to help people with their May payment, and their May payment is already passing. So from the 4th to the 9th, they can apply, and then hopefully they'll be. So I just want as much clarity as possible on this issue, because I'm sure the commissioners are going to go out to the press and they're going to want to talk about this, and they're going to want to know. And we don't want to have a situation where we're embarrassed because we say X and Y happens. So that's just a big concern that I have.
Definitely, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Reyes, you're recognized.
Yes, yesterday when we had this meeting, Mr. Mensa and I suggested that given the fact that not everybody in our districts, they are, I will say, they're technologically savvy, or some of them, they don't even have computers, or that we should use, and it's I propose that we should use the net offices also as a place that some people could walk in and fill the applications. And
Yes.
we should have in the net offices, have people there that they will assist everybody. I mean, every single commission has net offices within the districts. And so we can assist them, assist those people that they don't have the technological ability to apply online, that they could go to the net offices and apply in person, and with the assistance of the people that you should be training. You should train and make that easier for our residents.
Yes, we did inform the net officers and ask them if they have the people that they have that will be doing this to be able to, for we can train them
Thank you, sir.
tomorrow. So I'm waiting for a response. So I don't know if Fernando is on, but we are waiting for an answer from them. We definitely did inform them, and we will train their staff tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Are there any further comments or questions? We have finished the agenda for the day. Mr. Manager, you're recognized.
I just want to point out that the information on all three programs is already available on the community development portion of the city website. So people can access the information. It gives a full detail as to when the applications are available, the criteria for applying. It's very well spelled out on the website. So if you want to direct anybody to the site, it's a very, very useful page, and it's broken down by program.
Got it. Commissioner Carollo.
Doug, if I could ask you, please, of course, unless the manager has any problems on it, if you could give me a call once the meeting is over on something related to my budget that I need to go over with you. Did we lose him, or is he still there?
He's here.
Okay.
All right.
One more quick thing, a quick announcement. I have another food drive tomorrow with Farm Share at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning at Curtis Park, 1901 Northwest 24th Avenue. If any commissioner wants to join us, Mayor, if you want to join us, it'd be a pleasure having all of you there, any of you there. And the community can know it's 1901 Northwest 24th Avenue, Curtis Park, tomorrow at 10 a.m.
If I can, and before we finish, I'm trying to put something together that we can begin either late next week or the beginning of the following week, where we're going to be giving out no less than 12,000 cooked meals per week. And it'll be combined with about 3,000 other packages for a total of about 15,000 per week. We're going to be trying to do this in various locations within my district, but some are going to be adjacent to some of the other districts.
Try to go north, Commissioner, if you can.
Well, one, probably two, I'm going to be adjacent to Allapattah, the Marlin side. And if I could work school out with the school board in 22nd Avenue, with Commissioner Reyes, I'm trying to work out another one that'll be closer to his district, possibly two. With Commissioner Russell, we'll get as close as we can to his district. And the idea would be at least 2,000 meals, warm meals, that will be given each day. We will do 1,000 in the morning, another 1,000 in the afternoon at different sites. And once we have a plan, I'll have the manager give it to you. So we could all work, because what I've asked is that we limit it to city residents. Obviously, I'm not going to limit it to District 3 residents only, even though the dollars are coming either from District 3 or some that have acquired for District 3. But as long as they're City of Miami residents, we will feed them. I just want to come up with a plan so that maybe we do one mail out for all of us, and we have an identity where either have a circle, have a square with a number in each of our districts, and that's all that people have to put up in their windshield or show if they're going to do walk-ups, because we need to do walk-ups too in many of our districts. And we're coming up with a plan that'll be safe for the people that come, and for us that we'll be giving them food. But as much as we all want to help everybody in the county, we don't have those resources, and we have to keep it within our city. So I'm just offering that as an idea that you all could speak to the manager on your own. But I want to be able to get that information out into the public for our residents to help as many as we can.
Commissioner Diaz-Villaportilla.
And Commissioner, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Carollo, the manager and I spoke about this program yesterday. I thought it was a great idea. He liked the idea too. I said that I was willing to offer some of my staff and some volunteers that are helping me in the things that I'm doing in my district to help you with your efforts, even if it's in your district or in Commissioner Reyes' district. I think we need to be together here and work together for all Miamians. So I'm willing to offer some of my staff members, some of the volunteers that have been helping me. And also I spoke to the manager about maybe perhaps using the government service employees union members to help.
Big help.
They're right now they're beginning to they're entering into a collective bargaining agreement with us, and I think they should be giving a lot to the city because they're asking a lot down the line. And I think that they're willing to do that, so we can talk to them to be able to help us distribute those meals. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think it's a heck of an incentive on your part, and I'm willing to help, and I want my office to help. So I'm with you on that, and I'll go through the manager, obviously, and help you distribute those hot meals.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I haven't seen the plan, and I will like to. I mean, I'm looking forward to being part of it, or analyzing be able to analyze the plan and the feasibility of doing it. I mean, I'm all open. And if we are going to have it's going to be a citywide program, or it's going to be your program that is going to be extended. I mean, if it's going to help all of our district, man, I'm all for it.
Commissioner Carollo.
Commissioner, to answer your question direct, it's going to be started in my district because it's funds that I've either acquired or funds from my district. However, it'll be open to all districts, and hopefully once you see it, maybe you could acquire some of your own funds from your district, and we could expand it even more. And I even would be willing to help with my own funds to, like I said, put it in areas that are right in the middle of both of our districts, Commissioner Diaz-Villaportilla's district, and others that I can, so that we could all share in it.
Yeah, we can do a joint effort with the personnel that we have, with everybody that works for us, and we can do a joint effort and help each other, and that maybe we'll be more efficient that way.
Absolutely. And having said that, let me thank the mayor's staff for doing just that, because they had us participate with them yesterday with Farm Share, and both of our staffs worked hard and worked good in getting a lot of food out. And this is how we've been doing it, and this is how we need to finish this, that we're showing the leadership, the example, that we're working together for our whole city. There are no boundaries anymore in each of our districts. It's just citywide that we want to help all our residents. So I thank all of you. I thank all of our staffs, and in particular, the vast majority of our first providers, particularly police and fire, that, as both of the chiefs have told me, they have much less people calling in sick now during this emergency that you have during normal times. So that says a lot, that our first responders are really understanding the emergency that we're under, and they're doing their best to be there. So to the vast majority of the city employees that are giving their best, they're putting themselves and their family at risk. I thank them. To all of your employees in your office, I thank them. And to the very, very few that, have been doing things a little different, shame on them, and hopefully they'll start changing. But that's just a minute amount. The vast majority of our people have, really come forward, and I'm very proud of them.
Thank you, Commissioner. And thank you, all of you, Commissioners. I believe we have concluded our agenda, and we are ready to adjourn if there's no further comments. I want to thank the administration and all of you I've been the absolute worst homeschooling teacher this morning, so I have to get back to my duties there. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day and be safe.
Yeah, Chairman.
Be safe.
I think you need a haircut.
Don't go there.
That's the other crisis.
Remember what happened before. Don't go there. Okay.
Talking about my what did I go wrong? All right.
But this time he really does need a haircut.
I have a barber that he.
I know where I won't be going. All right.
But not my barber, right? I'm the one that cut my hair.
Mr. Carrillo, don't go there, man.
Thank you.
Changer. Ou doit gen assez